All right, so I was linked an Instagram video with some pretty interesting claims, and we'll just watch the video first, and then we can get into it.
You want to hear a crazy study? They did a study on women's brains and found cells from their children in their brains from pregnancy. So, in reality, on a cellular level, a child is a cellular extension of his mother, which means when we as dads are frustrated or impatient or angry, when we do all that with our children, in our brain, it has nothing to do with mama. But in her brain, because she still shares cells with her child, it has everything to do with her. So if you want to love your wife or your partner really well, treat your children with kindness. Be slow to frustration and love them well, because she's going to feel it in her cells.
So I think his advice overall was good to treat people with kindness, and be slow to frustration, slow to anger. But I don't think that his science checks out. I read some of the comments too. A lot of comments are kind of making, I think this one right here by Coach Dadleet is, I'll probably give it a like. It seems like someone poorly understood a study and made some leaps. Can attach. Okay. Joking aside, I would love to see the study. Do you have a link? So he does link it here, which is the same study that I have here. We'll go into the study now. So male microchimerism. So I've heard of this before. It's not like anything magical or doesn't create a psychic link or something, which is what it sounds like he's claiming in this video. Overall, the message of the video I think is good, but I still think it takes too many liberties with the actual science. It reminds me of those times when people, read a headline and look into something and kind of make a more incredulous claim than necessary. But I will say, to his point, to Mr. Dads Don't Babysit, Nate Feathers, I guess. To his point, I think he is having only a positive message, but I still don't like the kind of misinformation perhaps in his post, as if you'll feel it more due to the presence of cells. So the study he linked, which he made a few leaps in logic, I believe. It looks at microchimerism. Humans naturally acquire in many tissues and cells, which is fine, which is normal. In this study, they quantify male DNA in the human female brain as a marker for microchimerism in fetal origin. And you know what a chimera is, as far as like in mythology, I guess. It has like multiple parts of different animals. We can look at chimera. It's mythical parts with fire breathing, hybrid, things like that. So that's kind of where the term chimera comes from. But we're looking here, and so this study was actually looking at Alzheimer's disease. So it's really looking at, if you have this male microchimerism in the female brain, how does that affect Alzheimer's? There was nothing tested about extra feelings or being able to do something special or sense different things. All of that is not at all included in this scientific study. It has, like, it's not even mentioned. You could read. I'll link the study here as well, and I'll link Nate Feathers' Instagram as well. This is the only video I've ever seen of his, and I hope he has positive messages in all his videos. But this video specifically, I think it's a positive message plus some inaccurate science. So here it just goes into like where they're finding these cells, and there's also kind of a disagreement, I think, right now of if this phenomenon, which we do see in the female brain, it could be from pregnancy with the male fetus. You could also have it from transfusion of male blood cells, even transplantation of male tissue. It's kind of like it's it's an area of ongoing research, I'll call it, and debate too. But it's definitely not settled as far as what it causes and what it does. But they are looking more of like not whether or not it's there, like that's not up for debate. How it gets there is one thing, but it's more like the studies are looking at in the female brain when you have these male cells, how do different neurological conditions like Alzheimer's in that study he linked, like how do those behave, and they're also looking at immune response. There are some studies that are looking at male microchimerism in the female brain, and how it contributes to neuroinflammation, and just kind of some other things that they're looking at therapeutic approaches for neurodegenerative diseases, like things like ALS or something. They're still looking at this. There's a lot of the medical community that's very skeptical of its utility. But while this is still up for debate, this guy, Nate Feathers, has gone forward and made a pretty bold claim. But again, this study doesn't mention at all how you feel about your children, or so his claim is not at all supported by his evidence that he's presented. And I'm just reading the end of the study. Could impact maternal health, potentially be of evolutionary significance, but this isn't. When it says potentially of evolutionary significance, this doesn't mean that you're going to be like the X-Men and suddenly have Jean Grey psychic powers. You're going to be more empathetic for your child or anything. I think a lot of things can be explained otherwise, and don't read too much into these Instagram videos. I really like Coach Dadleet, whoever this is. He really questioned. There's an ER nurse who shares a story as well about someone running in with unconscious 4-year-old, and she collapsed and she had broken both her legs. She carried her baby to the hospital on broken legs. That's what microchimera does for a person. Like, I don't know why she's attributing that to microchimera. First of all, it's not even microchimera, but I think I'd attribute it more to adrenaline. A lot of people are like, wow, amazing. People are talking about prayer. I think women definitely have a very strong attachment to their children. Men do too. I don't think it's anything to do with this specific study, and would implore people when they're forwarded things like this, just as I was forwarded this, I immediately just Googled male microchimerism because I'd heard of it and just went to see what it was. As far as what he's claiming is going on, I'm very wary when people are like, there was a study or science proves and things like that. So I think it's important to check the facts on this, and just wanted to show this study. It also talked about rat brains and other animals previously. So in conclusion, he's not like fully wrong, but his science is completely inaccurate. His message is good to treat those with
you want to hear a crazy study? They did a study on women's brains and found cells from their children in their brain from pregnancy.
Possibly true.
So in reality, on a cellular level, a child is a cellular extension of his mother.
I mean, children are literally cellular extensions of their parents, so I guess true.
Which means when we as dads are frustrated or impatient or angry, when we do all that with our children, in our brain, it has nothing to do with mama.
I don't know if that's true either. Okay, I'd say that's not true.
But in her brain, because she still shares cells.
Okay, this is definitely not true. There's nothing that proves that it's because she shares cells.
With her child? It has everything to do with her.
Yeah, that's not true at all. That's not any to be the reason.
So if you want to love your wife or your partner really well,
this part's good.
Treat your children with kindness. Be slow to frustration.
Treat your children with kindness, of course. Excellent advice.
And love them well, because she's going to feel it in her cells.
I guess everything we feel is in our cells, so it's true, but that's not the reason behind it. So, all right. Thanks. We'll look at the next thing that gets forwarded to me, and hopefully review / debunk or review that. All right. Thanks.